Welcome back to the third and final game between Team UK and Team Germany on Giamma's Euro Cup 2024. We have Stead here on the Team UK side and General Eisenbart on the German side. For the army builds here, we have Slanesh on the UK side, a bunch of devoted marauders in the front line, plus a single more elite backbone, the Mirror Guard. Regiment of renowned Chaos Warriors with added melee stats. On the flanks there, we have the more expensive mobility armor-piercing Seekers, Chaos Furies of Slanesh, and the Javelins of the Marauder Horsemen to take down enemy monsters and perhaps skirmish a bit. And then the most expensive component, the Chaos Knight of Slanesh, with the sword and board version on the left flank and Lance's version on the right flank. Lance's version definitely a very devastating charger, as they do have AT charge bonus combined with the double charge bonus of devastating flanker trait of the Slanesh army. This can be some really impactful charges if they can get that rear or flank charges. Leading the army, Azazel with Acquiescence and Pavane of Slanesh, very standard spell casting choice for Slanesh. And on the other side, the German team with General Eisenbart going for Tinge, frontline of Halberd Warriors and a single sword and board Chaos Warriors. I assume General Eisenbart ran out of money for the more expensive Halberd variant of Chaos Warrior, so mixed in one single generic sword and shield one. Just so he can get 5 Chaos Warriors, a wide enough front line with still enough quality to hold against infantry and cavalry alike. Behind them, a bunch of blue horrors and also a single sour gut for those firepower, sheer volume of warp flame throwing at the enemies. And then we have some big single entities which Slanesh usually has quite a bit of trouble taking down. We have Azen, the Fallen Regiment of Renowned Vortex Beast. That is not exactly a common sight. When it first came out, its unique ability is trash, so everyone just take the generic one. So let's see if it's actually better in this patch. Next to it, we have the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tinge on a War Shrine. After recent patches, it's no longer the broken unlimited power Winds of Magic generator, and it is now selectable in tournament battles. It can be quite handy with that extra magic regeneration, and combined with the spells of Pink Fire and Infernal Gateway, this Chaos Sorcerer Lord is ready to clear out a ton of Slanesh infantry and cavalry. That's it for the army builds. Now let's go back into normal speed as both armies are approaching each other. Slanesh taking their time to encircle the enemy formation, especially due to the lack of enemy mobility. They can easily flank charge these blue horrors at the back with nothing to really protect them. However, the warriors should win out the melee fight pretty easily, especially when supported by a massive monster piece. On the flanks there, the Slanesh Knights with Lances are slamming into the blue horse, taking down half a unit in one go. This is definitely a very, very effective charge from Stead and already putting these blue horrors into demonic instability. The blue horrors at the back are firing in and they're taking some damage now, but they will be quickly backing off before Azen the Fallen can take down more of their knights. And on the other side, Seekers and Chaos Knights of Slanesh also made a charge onto these blue horrors, but without that AT charge bonus, things are less devastating for the blue horrors on this front here. Meanwhile, the Tinge Warriors are standing firm against the line of marauders clashing upon them. With the Tinge barrier, their heavy armor and just better melee stats in general, they have no issue taking down the devoted marauders, especially with blue horror support. However, Furies and the rest of the Slanesh mobility will be coming in to help out. Over here, the Chaos Warriors are helping the Azen the Fallen dumpstering these devoted marauders. Otherwise, the front line is a bit of a slow grind. Mirror Guard trading evenly against Tinge Warriors, and the Hellscourge Marauders have pretty decent melee defenses. Interesting use of the Chaos Spawn there, General Eisenbart dropping them in early, just using their mass to fend off those Slanesh mobility. They're essentially acting like a wall of flesh, where the Slanesh cavalry will have to walk around them. This buys more time for the horrors to keep firing and use up as much ammo as possible before going into melee. Well, Azazel having a really rough time dueling the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tinge. Not that he has time taking down the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, but the Sour Guts providing some point-blank fire support, putting a big dent in the HP bar of the Slanesh Lord. This forces Azazel to pull back, leaving the Tinge Sorcerer Lord to freely fight in the front lines and charge up its ability. Though with not that many entities in the front line dying just yet, the ability is far from fully charged. With the single entities busy elsewhere though, the Slanesh mobility are a bit unchecked right now. Seekers moving into position alongside some armor-piercing Furies as well, rear charging into the Halberd Warriors of Tinge. These Halberd Warriors are really feeling the pain of that devastating flanker trait, getting rammed right from behind. On top of that, Acquiescence lowering the melee defense of these Tinge Warriors, and these Tinge Warriors are getting burst down by the beautiful Hammer and Anvil. Aizen the Fallen is jumping in to help out. Narcissism is preventing it from jumping into direct combat against the Seekers, but still, the attack animation has large enough range that it actually still hits the Seekers in the end, and then the charge animation took it into the block fight, starting to drain away the health of the Seekers and Furies, disintegrating the Furies with no issue at all, while the Seekers will continue to run down the Chaos Warriors. Chaos Knights of Slanesh will be slamming into the backs of the Halberds, though without the 80 charge bonus, they struggle to penetrate the heavy armor of these Tinge infantry. The rest of the Slanesh mobility are ping-ponging around the battlefield, Seekers pulling out from a hammer charge against the Halberds as the Anvil is collapsing, the Marauders aren't holding. The Mirror Guard is of course built different. They actually managed to win against the regular Tinge Warriors with the help of some Slanesh Knights. However, the Tinge Halberd Warriors are here with their armor piercing and anti-large. Blue Horror saturating in as well, and the Slanesh Knights with Lancers are forced to pull back. There are just too many bodies in the mix, enough to drown the Slanesh Knights in sheer numbers. On the far side, their Seekers continue to run down the rest of the Halberds and actually doing some damage to Aizen the Fallen as well with the support of these Slanesh Javelins. The problem is that the Mortis draining effect of the Mutila Vortex Beast is still effective on the Seekers, and on top of that, the Maelstrom of Change, the unique ability of the Regiment of Renowned Mutila Vortex Beast, is absolutely destroying these poor Seekers. I think they buffed it a while back, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, they now do 125 to 250 damage per second for a total of 7 seconds. That was basically enough to put the Seekers from over half health to almost completely dead. Very nice to see Aizen the Fallen actually being put to good use in a battle like this. Combined with its absolute unit of a stat card, all those HP and armor piercing weapon strength, definitely changed my opinion on this monstrosity, especially if you can chain the ability onto a blob. Speaking of blob, we can see that the Tinge army is forming into a blob grinding down the Slanesh forces. Chaos Knights with Lances are now surrounding the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tinge here, trying to burst it down with the charge bonus, but now seeing that the Mutila Vortex Beast is actually a massive threat to the rest of the Slanesh army, the Knights are surrounding the Mutila Vortex Beast instead, throwing in Javelins as well as a bit of missile support, and Aizen the Fallen took a ton of burst damage, especially from the flanking charge of the Lances Knights, and it will be routed off. Something will have to be dedicated to chase off this giant monster piece before it returns to combat once again and activate the chain hacks ability. So yeah, Knights probably will have to take on this duty, while at the same time we have some Murder Horsemen who are circling around the formation here, though they do want to be careful not wanting to stray too close because they will be falling victim to enemy Overwatch fire. Sargots right now are quite safe, using the Blue Horse as meat shields, while the Halberd Warriors are forming a wall of pointy metal sticks to fend off enemy cavalry that got too close for comfort. However, these Blue Horrors, since they have ran out of ammo and being a much cheaper chaff infantry, they're just gonna get left to die under the enemy horses. That actually buys time for the Sour Guts to shoot a bit more. Sour Guts continue to fire away at the Chaos Knights, and the Mutila Vortex Beast has been taken down by the Lances Knights. So it is down to whether Tinge can hold this capture point. They're still getting that victory ticket, and also balance of power is in favor of them since Azazel is now so very low in HP. The Halberd Warriors will be key to protect the Sour Guts, as they will be shielding the Regiment of Renowned Pink Horse from every charge of the Slanesh Knights. Slanesh has some regrouped infantry, but the Mirror Guard just shattered, and the Marauders, because of how depleted they are not going to be of much use either. And the Pink Fire just shattered them in the end. Now, the Sour Guts are free to just fire at any kind of Slanesh mobility who approach this little tiny blob of Tinge forces, and Slanesh still struggles to find a good angle to charge in, since basically the halberds are overlapping them with the pink horse. Whenever the Slanesh Knights charge in, they will be coming in contact with the halberds. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tinge, though, eating a bit of a pavane, being dragged out of position. Now the Slanesh mobility are free to just charge and surround the Chaos Lord on his War Shrine, and because he is on a massive hitbox of a War Shrine, he'll be taking a lot of surround damage, as more entities are able to surround and output damage against this Tinge Lord. Azazel can probably jump in as well. If he gets the angle right, he can get himself right behind this Chaos War Shrine and allow the War Shrine to block the damage from the Sour Guts. Either ways, Chaos Sorcerer Lord seems to be trapped in a bunch of mobility. And now the regular Chaos Knights of Slanesh are trying to do a rear charge and get to the Sour Guts, but the Halberd Warriors are in place to intercept. At the same time, Azazel is jumping in to really snipe out the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tinge. Knowing that he is going down, the Tinge Sorcerer Lord is just gonna dump a massive Inferno Gateway on himself, which also happens to have a bunch of Chaos Knights surrounding him, and that dealt a lot of AoE damage to these heavy knights, which the Sour Guts wouldn't be as effective against due to the lack of armor-piercing damage, but that Inferno Gateway was clutch, nuking the Marauder Horsemen and the remaining knights with lances. Now only the regular Chaos Knights of Slanesh with sword and board are healthy, but their charge will be much less impactful than the lances. And this turn things even worse for Slanesh as they're running out of DPS options against all these halberd infantry. The Sour Guts firepower is consistently chipping away what remains of the health of these Chaos Knights of Slanesh. With how tattered these Chaos Knights are, even their heavy armor won't be able to save them. Halberds continue position themselves around on the Sour Guts, forming basically a moving wall to protect these Sour Guts from enemy cavalry. The Sour Guts still have 5 volleys of ammo left, and they are not unleashing it at Azazel. Azazel not having a lot of armor, so definitely a good target for the missiles, but Stead is definitely juking those shots, trying to keep Azazel alive, so the Sour Guts are switching over to the Chaos Knight instead. And that little bit of pink war flame is just enough to rout off these Chaos Knights of Slanesh with lances, cutting off Slanesh from their 80 charge bonus knights. That leaves only the regular Slanesh Knights in the mix, and we'll have to do a bit of fast forward here as the Slanesh Knights, the regular ones, are trying to get to the halberds. Pavane has been used to work through the HP of the Chaos Warriors of Tinge, since the regular Slanesh Knights can take down pink horrors, but not quite so the halberds. Meanwhile, Sour Guts continue to fire, routing away the Marauder Horsemen, once again shattering them even. Now Azazel is cycle charging onto the halberds. Slanesh Knights are trying their best and actually routed off, terrified these Chaos Warriors of Tinge due to the presence of Azazel, who does cause terror despite being only a foot character. Now the Slanesh Knights are free to just chase off these routed off Chaos Warriors, but there's still this really healthy unit of halberds. And I think this might be it for Slanesh, as I don't see how they can take down the Tinge Warriors over here. Azazel is being surrounded, trapped in a bunch of elite Chaos Warriors, and he will be fading away back into the warp, and with that, army losses will take hold soon, as the Sour Guts are also taking down the regrouped Lances Knights in melee combat. Army losses hit, and that shall be the end of the best of 3. Team Germany managed to secure 3 whole victories over Team UK, and will be reigning supreme in this national team best of 3. GG to both Stead and General Isambard for this close game between Slanesh and Tinge. For the army performances, we can see that the Marauders basically got crushed by the combination of heavy infantry and a massive monster, the Chaos Warriors and the Mutilov Vortex Beast. Murgard, though, did some really good job cutting through enemy units with their superior stat line. Unfortunately, them alone cannot hold back the tide of enemy warriors, while the Seekers are basically underperforming since they are still a rather overpriced mobility. with mediocre charge bonus. Now, if you have good charge bonus, things are a lot more different. For example, these Chaos Knights with Lances here. Having the devastating flanker trait combining with the 80 charge bonus really helped them devastate Blue Horrors and Chaos Warriors and enemy single entities, as long as they get the charge. Unfortunately though, over the long period of time, they still got grind down by the sheer amount of armor piercing and anti-large on the Halberd Warriors. Plus, the Chaos Knights, despite them doing some pretty good work, they just don't have the punch as the Lances variant, so they got a lot of kills, but not quite enough value to match their Lances brethren. For the rest of the mobility, we have the Marauder Horsemen did some pretty good job against the Mutilated Vortex Beast with their Javelin Fire. Furies, unfortunately, just didn't have any good targets to charge. They can drop in on the Sour Guts and Blue Horse to shut them down, but unfortunately, the Blue Horse have enough numbers and melee stats and just close range point blank fire to grind them down, beat them back in a melee fight, so the Furies got soundly defeated as well. Azazel unfortunately got exposed to too much pink horror firepower. The Sour Guts got some pretty good shots onto him and just weakened him way too much before he can even get a good melee fight against the Tinge army, so unfortunately he is underperforming in this battle as well. For the Tinge army, their Sorcerer Lord got some decent value from the Pink Fire and the Infernal Gateway, but most of the heavy lifting were done by the Sour Guts shooting up all the important targets here, shutting down those Marauder Horsemen, shutting down those Furies, shooting up Azazel most importantly, and just shooting at whatever else they can get their hands on, and got some ridiculous value. While the Azen the Fallen, the Mutilated Vortex Beast, also got some solid value from the Chain Hack's ability, draining away the health of some expensive Slanesh units. The Chaos Halberd Wall got some pretty good value overall, nothing too crazy, but also very solid performance indeed. Blue Horse did okay, and that's it for today's battle. I hope you all enjoy this multiplayer action, and if you want to see more Total Warhammer content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.